Today I'm going to show you how to make your name in a calligraphy script so it looks like it's 3D. I have this page for you that shows you lots of different letters that show the calligraphy script, and this sheet for you that shows you how to do this step by step. The first thing that I like to do is draw a line very, very lightly with pencil so that I know which line my letters should rest on. Then I'll take a marker and double check my letter page and make sure I know exactly what the letter looks like that I want to try. And I refer back to that pretty frequently when I do each letter. So I'm going to start with my first letter, and I'm using really light pressure with just the very tip of the marker. And now I'm going to press a little bit more firmly and use the whole side of the marker. And you can see I get a much more broad line because I'm using the entire edge of this part of the marker. And now I'm pressing really lightly just with the tip of the marker and using the broad tip, the side of the marker here to make that wider line. And every time I start to do a new letter, I just double check it on the sheet just to make sure I know what I'm doing, even though obviously we all know our letters and we all know how to make all of them. Since we're just really learning the calligraphy script, it's a good idea to check back frequently and make sure that you're doing it just the way you plan to. So every time I double check, I'm using the broad side of the marker, and then I'm just using the tip of the marker, broad side, and just the point. And check my next letter, broad side and the point. Check my next letter. And my next letter. And since this is the last letter, I'm going to make it a little bit fancier. Okay, so I've got my name done. Now these markers are pretty much like watercolor paint. So this is wet, and if you get your hand on it, you're going to get ink on the side of your hand. So you want to keep your hand off of that while you're going around your letters, or like an outline around the edge of your letters. So right here we're on step 2, outline the name. But you really need to keep your hands off of the letters. So keep your hand below the letters when you're doing this. And make a line right around the shape of each letter, trying to keep your marker the same distance from your letter as you go. Now, if I go up here on this side of the letter, I'm going to drag my hand through the ink and smear it and smudge it. So I'm not going to do that. I'm going to turn my whole paper over. Okay, now I've got my entire name outlined, and we're going on to step 3, and it says draw a straight line down from each corner of the bottom edge of the outline. So this is the bottom of my paper, so I'm going to go to the edge of the letter and draw a line straight down to the bottom. Not all the way to the bottom, but towards the bottom. And then the same length of line here and here, going in the same direction at each one of these sort of corners of the letter, trying to make them all roughly the same length. You don't want to have any that are much longer than the others. Okay, next we're going to connect these by echoing the line above. So we have a line that's sort of parallel to the one above it. And it's okay if it goes off the edge of the page. Mine goes off, it's fine. Okay, so next you have to decide if you want to do marker shading or pencil shading. So on this one, I did pencil shading. And on this one, I did marker shading, or I did solid shading and then some hatching to do a mid-tone. So you have to imagine where your light source is coming from. So in my example here, I'm gonna have my light source pointing from where this pencil tip is right here. This is the light source. So on the back side of each bump on the letter, you're going to see the shadow. So on the back side of this little bump, I've got a little shadow. Back side of this little bump, there's a shadow. Again, I'm keeping my hand off of the letter so I don't smudge the ink, because it takes quite a while to really dry out. Longer than you expect. I'm going to do this whole side here in shadow since it's on the opposite side from my light source. So I'm going to have this whole side shaded. And then, so that it looks like my shadow just kind of gradually wraps around, and since I don't have like a lighter green to do that with, I mean, you could do it with a lighter green. You could do a little stripe of a lighter green right next to it to shade it, but I don't have one. So one thing that you can do is this little hatching line. So you've just got like a mid-tone of a green. So it's like half green and half white right along the edge. So it looks like it's kind of wrapping around. And if you make a little curve to each one of those little hatch marks, it will enhance the shape of the curvature of each of those letters. So I'll try to make it like a little sort of an eyelash, a little tiny curve. Now, if you prefer to do the pencil shading like this, what I would do is make sure you have a really sharp pencil, and you're going to use this whole edge of the lead and go in here like this, go straight down. See how I'm holding my pencil so that I can get the whole edge of the lead down. I'm not using the tip of the pencil. And then I'm just kind of shading it across this way so it gradually gets lighter as I go across. So again, using the whole edge of the tip, nice and dark through there, and then gradually blend it so it gets a little bit lighter as it goes around the curve towards the light side. And that's it. Have fun making your name.